Hey guys, this is Veridantus and welcome to my XCOM Chimera Squad Agent Guide. Before we start, I'd like to thank you guys for the feedback on my guide so far. They are very much appreciated and I will keep on improving to provide even better fits for you guys. Now let's start. Today we'll be discussing Torque, the Snake Lady. As usual, we'll start with abilities. Torque start with 2 basic and 2 passive abilities. The first one is Tongue Pull. Pulls any target to Torque's melee range. Enemy pulled through any environmental effect will cut the effects such as poison, acid, and fire. It has a bonus plus 20% aim on enemy units. It triggers friendly reaction ability like Overwatch, Lockdown, and Jolt. It costs 1 action, it does not end turn, it has a 1 turn cooldown, and some bigger enemies cannot be pulled.
Could have made it myself. Get over here.
Next is Bind. Torque binds the enemy using her own body. Enemy has to be in one non-diagonal tile range. It deals 2 damage on both initial and sustain. Bind ends if Torque receives any damage. Releasing Bind is a free action. Bound enemies cannot act. Bound enemy cannot be targeted by ally unit. And at the end of the encounter, bound enemy are considered captured. Damage bypasses armor. Sustaining Bind ends Torque's turn. Some bigger enemies cannot be bound, free action, but it ends turns. Usable if enemy is in range and Torque did not do any turn-ending action. Torque's passives are Poison Immunity and Adaptable. Adaptable lets Torque to enter through an event breach point. Toxic Greeting is a breach action ability. It deals 3 guaranteed damage and poisons the enemy for 2 damage per turn. It ignores armor, it has a 100% chance to hit, and it's usable every encounter. Tight Squeeze upgrades bind damage to 5 on both initial and sustained damage. Hard Target gives plus 4 mobility on the first turn and a permanent plus 30 dodge. Poison Spit creates a poison cloud on a 3 tile diameter area. It deals 3 initial impact damage and poisons the enemy. Initial impact damage does not penetrate cover. It costs 1 action, does not end turn, and it has a 3 turn cooldown. With Reinforced Scale, Torque gains plus 1 armor when binding an enemy, and will not release the bind upon taking damage. Synthetic Venom gives Torque a bonus plus 50 crit against poison enemies, and Standing in Poison Cloud gives Torque plus 2 health regen. Vicious Bite is a melee attack. It deals 5 damage and it poisons the enemy. It ignores armor, costs 1 action, it ends turn, and it has a 3 turns cooldown. Torque can train for basic conditioning, which is plus 2 health, unlock potential for 1 mobility and 20 dodge, and Tag Team, which upgrades Tongue Pull to give 1 action for pulled ally. That's all for abilities, now let's talk combat. Torque starts the game with her best abilities. With Tongue Pull, not only can you pull enemies to their doom, you can grab an ally or civilian to get them out of situations. It can also be used for rapid movement since its range is as far as your line of sight allows. While Bind can prevent enemy from taking their action while damaging them. Use it on tankier enemies or high priority targets to prevent their actions. Remember that release is a free action. You can release, do 2 non-turn ending action, and then rebind. Toxic Greeting can finish off any 5 HP enemies, as initial impact deals 3 and the poison finishes them off.
You, come here.
Tight Squeeze is damage upgrade to Bind, which is very useful for mid to end game, as enemies' health increase and armored enemies are more common. Hard Target is a defensive upgrade and increased Torque survivability, as Dodge is a very powerful status. It comes down to preference. Personally, I prefer Tight Squeeze as high priority enemies becomes tankier. Poison Spit's area is quite large and has relatively low cooldown, which means you can use it on every encounter. Remember that it actually deals 5 damage, 3 for initial impact and 2 from the poison. Reinforced Scale helps Torque binds enemy longer as she gains +1 armor and will not let go on damage. Combined with her dodge, it makes her quite tanky, especially since you will end most of your turn binding an enemy. If you prefer shooting to binding targets, Synthetic Venom makes you even deadlier against poison targets and synergizes very well with Poison Spit. Vicious Bite is a very underwhelming power. It's basically just a melee attack that ignores armor and poisons the enemy. Tag Team makes pulling ally so much more valuable, as it gives pulled ally 1 action to spend. Torque fills several different roles with her kit. She can deal high damage, binds a target, pulls ally or civilian out of her situation, has high survivability, and is a sexy snake lady. Do I really need to say more? Alright guys, that is it for this guide. Next will be about the brawler Zephyr. Thank you for watching, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. This is Veridantus signing out.